Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I reported on Andrew Lawton and him being frozen out and, well, removed by the police from a public rally, that he had a wristband already to attend, which seems really concerning in modern Canada, considering, well, the next story in the other video for this morning. We'll get there. But first, Andrew Lawton's tweeting, quote, I've received a call from a Liberal Party representative apologizing directly and unequivocally for my removal from yesterday's rally at Lakehead University. She said it was a misunderstanding and it crossed a line, adding that I am not banned from public events. While this doesn't address what has been my primary concern since Sunday regarding media accreditation for the campaign and its press conferences, I nevertheless accepted the apology after verifying this won't be repeated. It shouldn't have happened. Full stop. The Liberal Party seems to realize that now. I don't know the cause of the misunderstanding. I'll leave that to the party to explain, but I've been vindicated and will carry on covering this campaign. To summarize, I'm still fighting for access to press conferences and media events. The difference now is that I'm not at risk of being arrested for attending public rallies. So it's concerning to me that it got to that point at all. It's concerning to me that it needed press attention, and it did get press attention. There were multiple bureau chiefs saying, what is going on here? This is not fair and very concerning. And so, I mean, at least there has been movement on that, at least. Do you remember this? I remember covering this initially, and I remember feeling like I was walking through one of Glenn Beck's chalkboard drawings, right? The circles and the points, and you see how it connects? I remember chuckling to myself and I've heard modern interviews with Glenn Beck, and he seems quite an affable guy now, but back then he seemed very funny to me back in like 2009, 2010, maybe 11. Anyway, this is the National Observer reporting Twitter bots boosted the trending hashtag Trudeau must go hashtag. And this article goes through a whole bunch of talking points, and I had to go to the outline version of the article, so it's missing some of the images, but this one's there, the hashtag, and the way it describes the fact that it was Twitter bots and it couldn't possibly be humans was very flimsy then. I didn't believe it then. And well, here's Twitter today, September 26th, so yesterday. It says truth. Well, CTV News is reporting, Truth Tracker, are bots amplifying hashtag Trudeau must go? Twitter says no. Twitter is downplaying concerns that hashtags criticizing Liberal leader Justin Trudeau have shown evidence of inauthentic activity from US-focused right-wing accounts. Yoel Roth, Twitter's head of site integrity, told ctvnews.ca that the company's initial investigation into the hashtag Trudeau must go hashtag have found no evidence of substantial bot activity amplifying the hashtag, despite multiple researchers continuing to voice concerns about potential hashtag manipulation. Our initial investigations have not found substantial bot activity amplifying the cited hashtag, Roth told ctvnews.ca via email following a phone briefing regarding Twitter's election integrity efforts. So I'm going to leave that there. My other question is, I think that it's very interesting that a company like Twitter and Facebook both can just randomly suspend candidates for election, their pages, etc., even PayPal shutting down people's ability to pay for random reasons and asking for things that are maybe not required. And I've had notifications requesting things that need to be in by January 2020. And I thought, wow, okay, thanks for the long notification. Anyway, it's interesting what happens and how much power these companies really have, right? Like, I don't think that a Russian, even with intention to sabotage our election, could do more damage than Twitter has done or could potentially do by accident, right? Inadvertently. And maybe somebody trips a account locking feature mechanism, and maybe that person's a candidate, and maybe it takes 7 days to get that candidate back online. I think that's very impactful. And within the scope of an entire election, does one candidate or two candidates matter? Maybe, maybe not. But to 10, to 15, to 20, in an election where it's very, very close, and most elections are very, very close, does that matter? How much influence do these companies have? I don't know that it's known. And I think the more cracking down on free speech, the more shaping of the likes and the shares and the boosting, et cetera, all of that stuff, the more muddy the waters become, the more difficult it is to see clearly what's really going on, right? and what the will of the population is. It's really interesting. Here's the National Post. They really dislike the Liberals' latest plank. It's John Ivison, and he says Liberals' camping scheme, an exercise in stupidity that takes nannyism to new heights. And I like some of this article, but not all of this article, but here we go. Local candidate Kristen Waller talked about her goal for her riding, quote, to make St. Catharines the best place to live, work, and raise a family. This seems to be a pretty good encapsulation of what governments should aim to do, lay solid foundations upon which citizens can build fulfilling lives. Frequently, though, governments overreach, spreading their tentacles too far into the lives of their citizens, wasting their money in the process. The impossibly optimistic Ugandan space program under Idi Amin comes to mind, ranked by Time magazine as one of the 100 worst ideas of the 20th century. Not to be outdone in the stupidity stakes, the Liberals have come up with a Canadian contender for the 21st century. Justin Trudeau made land in a canoe in Sudbury, Ontario, after paddling around a lake for the cameras, to announce a re-elected Liberal government will create a $2,000 travel bursaries to send 75,000 families camping for up to 4 days in a national or provincial park. The program, officially, quote, a camping experience for every kid in Canada, sounds like a dodgy holiday scam, but it's all too real and will add another $150 million to the deficit when fully implemented. The derision that greeted the announcement provoked an outbreak of whataboutery from the type of people who think the SNC-Lavalin scandal was just a failure to communicate on the part of the Prime Minister. What about those conservative arts and sports tax credits? To which the obvious answer is they're stupid too. Why should taxpayers subsidize piano lessons for kids whose parents can, for the most part, well afford them? But handing over the public monies to fund camping holidays for low-income and new Canadian families takes nannyism to heights not even the Trudeau Liberals have reached hitherto. The NDP was quick to leap on Trudeau bankrolling his pet project by pointing out that low-income Canadians would probably much prefer the government help them pay their rent. If the first objection to this improvidence is that the government shouldn't be paying for people to go on vacation, the second is that almost every alternative use for these dollars is more appropriate than the Experience Canada program. Trudeau can't see that, of course. He likes camping, so thinks that everyone should be coerced to camp. Recall, if you will, his insistence that Indigenous young people didn't need youth centers. What they really wanted was a, quote, place to store their canoes and paddles. Romeo Saganash, the former NDP MP, lampooned the comment, calling for a national canoe and paddle program before stating the obvious. What young people on reserves really want is an adequate housing and a decent education. This is Trudeau's peculiar cotton wool culture at its most bloated, unless, that is, a re-elected Liberal government resolves that new Canadians be mandated to attend lakeside workers' resorts to appreciate the rocks and trees. What with blackface, photoshopped coffee cups, and free camping trips, voters in this election could be forgiven if they opt for the Rhinoceros Party, with its plan to make sorry the official motto of Canada, nationalize bacon, and force manufacturers to build more green cars, including forest green, pale green, and cocky green. Alternatively, the mainstream parties could try to restore confidence in their capacity to provide competent public administration without offering bribes and waving shiny objects. That means an end to assurance of chicken in every pot, an end to pledges of ponies in every home, and most of all, an end to promises of free bloody holidays. That reminded me a lot of my mom, so I wanted to end with that. So well done. And that brings us to the end of the first video this morning. Yeah, it's very interesting to me. I think it's very clear and stark the thought process of one side versus the thought process of the other side. One side thinks that money should maybe stay in your pocket to go towards rent and other day-to-day needs. And Christmas is coming up, and it's one of those things that is kind of forgotten. But I used to work in children's mental health, and some families really can't afford Christmas. It's a really big expense. Food is expensive. Presents are expensive. Other people, like presents for other people, not just your kids. It's a really expensive thing. So like, when you have to give money for taxes to pay for summer holidays for 75,000 Canadians, $150 million worth, necessarily you don't have as much money in your pocket to pay for those expenses. This harms the poorest Canadians and or forces the poorest Canadians into summer camping, and maybe they have to miss out on other things, right? And maybe that's a poor analogy, maybe that's a poor correlation, but it strikes me as these mandated, like this is a mandated holiday. You have to use that money or it's going to be used up, gone, right? Evaporated, wherever those unused things go. And there are many unused programs like this, right? 75,000 families may not know about this thing that can be accessed, and not every single slot may be used. And if they are used, sometimes it's in a rush, right? Like, oh, we've got this program. Did you know about that? And then they slot a bunch of people in, and then they say, a big success, big success. These are the numbers. And success for what? The point is to give the kids a camping experience for $2,000 for a family of 4 for 4 days. That seems poor math. Like, maybe, but I digress. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to vote on October 21st, and have a wonderful, wonderful